start with quadrilaterals now. First I'll tell you the concepts, basic concepts of quadrilateral, and then we move on to the problems, just like what we did in triangles and rectangles. Okay, so quadrilaterals, we have studied this comprehensively in the geometry. We studied all the quadrilaterals and their properties. Now I'll tell you only two things about quadrilateral. One is the perimeter, which will be sum of all the sides. Second is the area. Okay, so these are the only two things we are going to discuss about the quadrilaterals, not anything else, because rest, if you want to know about the quadrilaterals, we have already studied this in geometry, so refer to those geometry classes. Okay, so let's start with the first of the quadrilateral. We have already studied rectangle and a square, so let's avoid both of them because we know them very well. Okay, which are the quadrilaterals, which means four-sided figure, which we have not studied till now. So we can start with a parallelogram here. So let me just draw a parallelogram. Can you recall what is a parallelogram? Opposite side are parallel and equal. Okay, this is how you can draw a parallelogram. Okay, in which I'll say that the opposite side are parallel and equal, which means this side will be equal to the opposite side, and this is how you go for it. What else do you know about a parallelogram? So if this is A, this is A, this will be B, this will be B. Okay, adjacent angles are supplementary. I'm just revising everything. So this angle, say, is X, and this angle is Y. X plus Y will be equal to 180. Opposite angles are equal. So this will be Y, this will be Y, this will be X, this will be X. Okay, what else do we know about a parallelogram? Diagonals bisect each other. So this is, say, one diagonal. Let's make it complete. So if I say this is one diagonal, and so let's keep it here. Yeah, this is how it goes. And let's go for the another diagonal. If I draw this as one more diagonal. Okay, so what can I say about this? They will always bisect each other. Okay, obviously diagonals will not be equal, but they will be bisecting. So this part will be equal to this part, and also this part will be equal to this part. Okay, diagonals bisect each other in a parallelogram. All that we need to know now here is all these properties we have studied in geometry. So this was just a revision. What is the area of this? So if I have to paint this completely, if I'm painting this completely, this thing, which means this, and then this, correct, this complete part. So what will be the area of this? That will be equal to nothing but draw perpendicular from here, and a perpendicular in geometry is always what? Height. So draw height from here. So area of this parallelogram will be nothing but base, which is A here, into height, which is H here. See, H, I'm calling it to be height. That's it, base into the height. So you remember area of a triangle, half into base into the height. This is just base A into the height H. That is area of a parallelogram here. Okay, what is that now? This is the yellow part. If I paint it completely by a yellow, how will it look like? Okay, and that is what will serve to be the area of this. Remember it with your triangle and you will be able to remember this. Okay, after your parallelogram, let's move on to the next quadrilateral, which will be a rhombus. Okay, so what is a rhombus? We already know that all the four sides will be equal. So let me just draw it for you. This is how the rhombus will look like, correct, in which you will be having all the four sides are equal. So you will be having the two sides which will be equal to the other two sides. Let me just make it appropriate such that it looks like a rhombus. Now it does. Okay, so this is how your rhombus will be. And what do you know about a rhombus? All the four sides will be equal. So if one side is A, this is also A, this is also A, and this is also A. I know all the four sides. Diagonals. Let's draw the diagonals for the rhombus. So if I go ahead and draw the diagonals, let's just put this as one diagonal. Okay, and put it in the right place. This will be the one diagonal, and let's draw the another diagonal, which will be, say, this will be my another diagonal. Okay, and let's again put this at right place. This is how it will look like. Okay, now what do I know? Diagonals bisect each other in a rhombus. Yes, they do bisect in in a rhombus but at an angle of 90 degree. We know that as well. Okay, so this will bisect this and this will be bisected, and the diagonals are obviously not equal in a rhombus. They are equal in a square. Okay, they are equal in a square but not in a rhombus. We have studied this in geometry. We know the reason why. You know the reason why as well. So this will be, see, one diagonal d1, the length of this is d1, okay, and the length of this diagonal is, say, d2. So the area of the rhombus in this case, which means if I have to paint this completely from inside, so what will be the area of this? That we have done this half into d1 into d2. Half into product of the diagonals will be the area of the rhombus. Okay, and in case you are wondering how is this happening, we had done a proof of this. Since the proof is simple, I'll do it, cover it here as well. Okay, say this is one triangle. Okay, and if I ask you what is the area of this one triangle, you will say, okay, you said this distance to be as d1. Correct, you said this distance to be as d1. The diagonal bisect at 90, so this distance will be d1 by 2. It will be half, right? Similarly, you said this distance is d2, so this small distance will be equal to d2 by 2 because the diagonal bisect. Okay, so what is the area of this triangle then? What is the area of this small triangle, yellow triangle? Half into what? d1 by 2 into d2 by 2. Half into base into height, because here the base is this and the height is this. So this is the area, but how many such triangles do you have? 1, 2, second will be this, 3 will be this, 4 will be this, right? So you have 4 such triangles. Multiply this by 4. So this 4 and this 4 gets cancelled. Eventually you get the answer as half into d1 into d2, and that will be the area of this rhombus. Okay, so make sure you remember this shortcut as well. In case you forget this should help you to recall and reach to your answer. Okay, that is now the area of the rhombus. So we know parallelogram, we know rhombus. Let's move on to the next figure, which will be, say, a trapezium. Okay, and what about the trapezium? So again, perimeter will be simple, perimeter is asked, add all the 4 sides in parallelogram as well as in the rhombus. Okay, that's why I'm not covering perimeter, it's that easy. Now let's move on to a trapezium. Okay, how will a trapezium look like? Two sides are parallel and 2 are not. So let's just draw it here. This is one side, and let's just draw one more side which is like this. Okay, and let us just connect the 2 sides now. So this will be connected to this. Okay, and this one more side will be this, which will be connected to this. Okay, now let's make it look proper so that we can compare this. This is parallel side and this will be a non-parallel side. Okay, this is how my trapezium would look like. Now these are 2 parallel sides, so let's call it to be A and let us call it to be B. And what will be the area of this trapezium, which means if I have to paint this completely in a yellow, what will be this yellow area is what I am asking to you. So that will be equal to half into sum of the parallel sides A plus B, half into sum of the parallel sides into the height. Height will be what? Always in a geometry is a perpendicular. So half into sum of the parallel sides into height. That is the area of a trapezium. So make sure you remember this as well. Okay, parallelogram, then your next rhombus, and now a trapezium. In case they ask you what is the perimeter, so say this is C, this is D, add all the 4 sides, A plus B plus C plus D. That will be the perimeter of the trapezium, which is nothing but the boundary. Okay, after trapezium, let's see last figure for quadrilaterals, which will be what? Any quadrilateral. Yes, mark my words, any quadrilateral. So it could be literally any quadrilateral. Okay, what do you mean by this? It will just have 4 sides but no property. I am just drawing 4 lines randomly. See how randomly I am drawing it. Okay, let's draw one more line here, which is very random here, something like this. Okay, and the last line I'll put it here to join this. So this is what is any quadrilateral. In case you want to just change it, so let's just change it anything you want. okay, because it will have any dimensions. You don't know what are the dimensions of this. And let's just connect this with this now. See, that's how it is. The only thing we know about it, it's a four-sided figure. So how will you find the area of this? Which means what? If I had to just paint this yellow is what I'm asking you. What will be the area of this yellow part here? Okay, so what are you supposed to do here? How do you reach to the answer for such question? Okay, so first draw one diagonal, because surely you can connect one diagonal here. From here to here you can connect this point. Say you can take this point and connect it to this. See, you can take this point and connect it to this, you will form one diagonal, or you can take this point, connect it to this, you will form one diagonal. It is always be easier to form one diagonal to this, okay, that should not be a problem. So let's make any one diagonal. So I'll say, okay, I'll make a diagonal, say like this, from one point to the other. So I'll make a diagonal like this. Okay, let's put it in the right place now. This is my diagonal now. This is how I'll draw my diagonal. Okay, which will be always be there. Okay, no matter which quadrilateral you draw, you will be able to make one diagonal for it for sure. Okay, that will always happen. Now what next? You will not be able to make the next diagonal. Okay, because you will be, but then what is preferable is just draw perpendicular from here. Just draw perpendicular from the other side onto this diagonal. And draw perpendicular from here as well, from the other side onto this diagonal, something like this, or perpendicular like this. Okay, now what is then the area of this any quadrilateral? Say the length of one of this diagonal is d1. This is d1. Okay, that is my diagonal here. And the length of this perpendicular is, say, a, and the length of this perpendicular is, say, b. Okay, so what do I know? This is d1, this is a, and this is b. This entire length of this diagonal is d1. So the area of this, the yellow part that I am asking, that is given as half into diagonal d1 length into sum of the perpendicular drawn from the opposite vertex, which means half into d1 into a plus b. Okay, that will be the area of any quadrilateral that is given to you, which means it will just have four sides, and that is the only property of quadrilateral it will possess. Okay, obviously the sum of all the angles will be 360, which is again a property of a quadrilateral. So half into d1 into a plus b. In case you want to remember a trick as to how do you remember this, remember it like a rhombus. How do you remember a rhombus? Half into product of the diagonals, right? Half into d1 into d2. That's what this is also, half into d1 into d2. Instead of a d2 you have a plus b. But you can relate to this, right? It is just nothing but half into product of diagonals. So you were able to draw one diagonal, and in the other diagonal you said just add the two perpendicular, so a plus b. So half into d1 into a plus b. Okay, that will be now the area of any quadrilateral that is given to you. Okay, and perimeter will be just add the four sides. So this is a, b, c, d. I'll add the four sides and you will get what is the perimeter of this any quadrilateral. Okay, so I hope these four things are clear now. Any quadrilateral is what we know, area. Trapezium we know the area, as well as rhombus and parallelogram we know how to find out the area. Perimeter is very simple for all the four quadrilaterals. Okay, so this was with respect to the concept of quadrilaterals and covering four quadrilaterals here. Rectangle and square we have already covered, so we are not doing it in this part. This is about it. Now after this, let's solve a problem. We'll solve few problems on trapezium, parallelogram, rhombus and any quadrilateral. Let's see how will you be tested on the problems. So let's solve problem on first quadrilateral, which is parallelogram. So in this section we are going to solve only the problems on parallelogram. Okay, and let's see what are the different types that we can get it here. Let's just revise. What is the area of a parallelogram? We know that it is quite simple. If I draw a parallelogram, it is base into the height. Okay, this is the only thing you're supposed to know it there. And perimeter is obviously the sum of all the four sides. So let's start. The adjacent side of a parallelogram are 8 and then 6. So if I draw a parallelogram like this, the adjacent side are given to me as, say, 6 and then 8. The angle between them is 30. The angle between them is 30 degree. Okay, find the area of a parallelogram. So area of a parallelogram is nothing but base into the height. So for height, I'll draw perpendicular from here. I'll draw perpendicular something like this here. Okay, this is 90. So what can I say about this? See, you know one formula for this, sine theta. And you know about trigonometry, sine theta is equals to opposite side. This is nothing but, let this be x upon the hypotenuse side, which is nothing given to be as 6. Okay, because I'm talking about which triangle? I'm talking about this triangle. So if I'm talking about this triangle, I can say sine theta, sine 30 is equals to opposite side, which is x upon the hypotenuse side, which is opposite to 90, which is 6. So x upon 6. Okay, in case you're wondering what did I do it here, this is what you have studied in trigonometry. If you don't know, just go to trigonometry class and you will come to know. This is theta, so sine theta is always opposite upon hypotenuse. Sine theta is always opposite upon hypotenuse. Okay, that's what you should know about here. So if this is x, this is h. So this is equals to what? X upon h. This is what you're supposed to do. So I'll write it here as what? Sine 30. Sine 30 is equals to opposite, which is x upon hypotenuse, which is 6. Okay, but what is sine 30? You should know this table as well. What is sine 30? That is equal to half. So half into 6 is equals to what? X. So this comes out to be what? This comes out to be x comes out to be 3. Okay, in case you are wondering where did I get this value, you should know this table as well. Sine and then cos. 0, 30, 45, 60 and then 90. From this table I know sine 30 is equals to half. That is equal to cos 60, which is half. This is root 3 by 2. Cos 30, this is root 3 by 2. This is 0, so this is 0. This is 1, so this is 1. Both are 1 by root 2 here. So from this I get the value of sine 30, which is half. Again, this is what I substituted here to reach to my answer. Okay, I hope you are getting this part of it. So what do I know right now? I know this is equal to what? This is equal to 3. That's it. Problem is solved now. What is area of a parallelogram? Base, which is 8, into height, which is 3. X is equals to 3. So 8 into 3, the area of this parallelogram is nothing but 24. And that is your answer to this question. Okay, simple as that. Just know one formula, but you should know other things as well to reach out to this, or else you will never get the answer. Okay, what next? The adjacent side of a parallelogram are this, and one of the diagonal is 40. Then find its area. So you will say that, okay, if the adjacent side of the parallelogram is given to me, so I'll draw a parallelogram. What is given to me here is the adjacent side of the parallelogram, which is say 30 and then 20. This is given to me. One of the diagonal is 40 centimeter long. Now this one diagonal is given to me as 40 centimeter long. Okay, this is 40 centimeter long. Then find its area. Now see, this diagonal always divides the parallelogram into two equal triangles. What is the meaning of this? So if I draw this white triangle will be having the area equal to this yellow triangle. So this white triangle will be equal to yellow triangle. The both of area will be equal. Okay, both the area of white and the yellow triangle will be equal. Okay, that is what you should know. That is a property of a parallelogram. So in case you don't know this, refer to geometry class. Okay, that is why geometry class is done before this, because you should know all this basic concept before you actually go ahead and solve these problems. Okay, so I know it is the diagonal always divides it into two equal parts. So if I know the area of this triangle, I'll double this and I'll get the area of this parallelogram. So I need to know just the area of this white triangle, and I'll double this and I'll get the area of a parallelogram, because the area of white will be equal to the area of yellow, and area of white plus yellow is the area of a parallelogram. Okay, so let's just find out how can I find out the area of this white triangle. Three sides are given. How can you find area of a triangle? Now we know the formula, Heron's formula, square root of s into s minus a into S minus B into S minus C, right? That will be the area of this triangle. So what is S now? S is my semi-perimeter. So add this 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So this is 90 divided by 2. So S comes out to be what? 45. Okay, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Correct. Okay. This is 45. So write it here now. Square root of 45 into what? 45 minus 40 will be 5. This 45 minus 30 will be equal to 15, and 45 minus 20 will be equal to 25. Okay, 25, 35, 45. Then correct, this will be equal to what? 45 minus 30 is 15, and this is 5. Correct. All looks good now. Okay, now what? Now just try and split this up. Try and split this up such that you can get some number out from this. So 45 I can write it as 5 into 9. 9 is already 3 square. Then I can write this as one more 5 here. This could be written as 5 into 3 is 15. This could be written as 5 square. Correct. I had everything that I needed here. Now what can I take out from this? This is the entire thing with the square root here. So let's see what can I take out. This 2 5. So this will come out as 1 5 here. This 1 5 and this 1 5. Similarly, out of this 2 5 I can take out one more 5 outside here. So 5 is being taken care of. What else? From this 9 I can take out 3 from outside. So this is also taken care of now. Now what else? That's it. Nothing more that I can do. So what are you left with in the square root is 5 into 3, which is nothing but 15. Okay, there is nothing much that I can do with this now. 5 into 3, which is 15, that will be left here, and rest everything is something that I had taken out, whatever was possible. So 5 into 5 into 3. Now what are you left with is 25 into 3 is nothing but 75. Okay, so this turns out to be what? 75 into square root of what? 15. This is what you are left with it here. Now this is the area of this triangle. Now you have to double this. Just double this. 75 into 2 will be equal to what? 150. So 150 square root of 15, and that's it. That will be your final answer. 150 into square root of 15 will be the total area of this parallelogram. Then its area is. That is what is being asked to us. Okay, again quite a simple problem for its approach. So just know the concept of area of the triangle, and it will be easier for you to reach to the solution to such problems. Okay, I hope you got the concept clear here. Okay, that's how you get it. So they won't give you always the base and the height. Okay, they will give you the problem in the various form, and eventually you will have to reach to your answer. Okay, let's move on to the next. The adjacent side of a parallelogram are 25 and 40, and the altitude drawn on the longer side is 18. This is very simple. This is just applying the formula of base into the height. Okay, so if I draw a parallelogram like this, the adjacent side of a parallelogram are this. So this is 25 and this is 40. Altitude drawn on the longer side is 18. So this is the longer side. This is the altitude drawn on this, and this is equal to 18. Altitude is nothing always but the height. So height is given, base is given. So what is the area of the parallelogram? 40 into 18. Correct? Base into the height. Okay, what is this now? 18 fours are 72, 720. 720 is the area of this parallelogram. Okay, very simple. Now you can just apply the formula of base into height and reach to the answer. This was very simple. Let's move on to the next. If the distance of a 24 centimeter long side of a parallelogram from the opposite side is 22 centimeter. Okay, 24 centimeter long side of a parallelogram. So let's draw a parallelogram, and 24 centimeter long side of a parallelogram, which is this. From the opposite side, this distance is 22. So So distance of a 24 centimeter side of a parallelogram from the opposite side, and distance is always the perpendicular distance. In case you will say it is not mentioned anywhere, but it is an understood thing. If I am talking about a distance between this from the opposite side to this side, I am always telling the perpendicular, because the distance is always the perpendicular, something that you studied in coordinate geometry. Okay, is what we are applying it here. Okay, so now what, that's it, base is given, height is given, so the area will be equal to 24 into 22. Okay, so let's just do this. 22 square is 484, plus 22 into 2 will be 44. So this becomes 8 plus 4, this becomes 12, this becomes 528. Correct, this becomes 528, and that is your final answer. 24 into 22, 528. Okay, that is the area of this parallelogram. So make sure you just know the basics related to this, and most of the time you apply the formula of base into height. But in case you don't apply base into height, you can get the problem like this as well, where you have to apply some concept of trigonometry to get to the height, and you can get like this as well, where you just get the area of the triangle. Okay, and you say that the two triangles area will be equal. So just find out by Heron's formula area of one triangle, and then you can find the area of the parallelogram. So not always you will get base into it. Okay, so know the variation when it comes to finding out the area of a parallelogram. So after parallelogram, let's solve a problem which is there on rhombus. Okay, let's see what can we do with this. So area of a rhombus is given to me as 256 centimeters square, and one diagonal is half of the other diagonal. Find the sum of the diagonal. So what will I start with here? I will start by drawing a rhombus, and I know what is the area of the rhombus. That is nothing but equal to half into d1 into d2. Right, half into d1 into d2, and all the four sides will be equal. So this is a, this is a, this is a, this is a. Let me say this diagonal is equals to d1 and this diagonal is equals to d2, but one of the diagonal is half of the other, so I can say d2 is equals to half of d1. Right, or you can say d1 is equals to half of d2, whatever you want to. So what will happen because of this? So if I say this now, I'll say this is equal to what, my d2. One is d1, one is d2, such that d2 is equals to half of d1. Okay, now the area of this rhombus will be equal to what? Half into d1 into d2. Correct, so this will become half into d1 into what? d2. Instead of d2 I will write it as d2 is equals to half of d1. So half of d1, that is my d2. Okay, so the answer comes out to be 1/4 into d1 square, d1 into d1, which is being multiplied. Okay, so I get this, the area of this rhombus is equals to 1/4 into d1 square, and that is nothing but equal to 256. So what is d1 then? So d1 is equals to 256 into 4, and then the square root of the entire thing. Okay, what is 256? 16 square. So 16 will come out of this. And what is square root of 4? That is nothing but 2. So 2 will come out of this. Okay, so what do you get eventually d1 as? You get d1 is equals to 16 into 2. So d1 comes out to be what? 32. That is your d1, which is one of the diagonal. d1. d2 is equals to what then? Half of d1. So d2, the other diagonal, will be equal to half of d1, which is nothing but 16. So that is equal to d2. What is being asked? What is the sum of the diagonals? Okay, sum of the diagonals will be 32 plus 16, which is nothing but 48, and that is your final answer. The sum of the diagonal is 48. Okay, no need to draw any diagram for this. You can just understand that, just apply this formula, get this relationship, write it here, get one d1, get one d2, add both of them, and reach to your answer. That's how simple it is. So if you know the basic formula for area of rhombus, you should surely get the answer to this question here. Okay, there is nothing that is complicated about this problem. It's quite a simple problem and a straight approach to solve this problem as well. So let's now solve problem on trapezium. Okay, so what is given here? We know what is first of all area of a trapezium, half into sum of the parallel sides into height. We also know how does a trapezium look like, right? We had done that. So given this background, let's start. ABCD is a trapezium where AB is parallel to CD. Okay, so let's draw this. This is trapezium. So I draw one line here, which is AB, not a straight line. Let's just draw it correctly here. So this is one line, and let's draw the another line, which is say CD. So AB and CD are the two parallel lines of a trapezium. Let's complete it and make it a full trapezium here. Let's just draw the last line, which will be like this. Okay, let's correct this and make it look like a trapezium. So this is how it will look like. Okay, this is what your trapezium is. So AB is this is AB, and this is equal to CD. That is how your trapezium is. AB is equals to 2 of CD. AB is equal, so let's make this as AB now, because AB is equals to 2 of CD. So let's make this as CD. Let's make this as CD, and this is AB, and such that AB is equals to 2 of CD. So if CD is X, AB is equals to 2X. Okay, such that you have a connection between the two sides. If its diagonal intersect at O, okay, let's draw a diagonal of this now, and the diagonal are intersecting at O. So if I draw a diagonal like this, let me just make it a diagonal here now. It's one diagonal, and this will be the another diagonal. So let's go and draw this another diagonal. Okay, this is one diagonal, and I know the another diagonal here as well. So the diagonal intersect at the point O. So they intersect at the point O. Ratio of area of triangle AOB to COD. Okay, which triangle am I talking about here? Let's just paint it AOB. AOB, this yellow triangle, you can see it at AOB, and COD. COD means I'm talking about which triangle now? This red one. Okay, AOB and COD, this yellow and then red triangle is what I'm talking about. What is the ratio of their area? Okay, so this is where you will use a concept of similarity and go ahead and solve this problem. So that's why it is advisable to go for geometry first, then for mensuration, because they both are related. If you know geometry, then it will be a lot easier to go ahead with this problem, because the problem will not be straight as finding out the area. Okay, so ratio of area of triangle AOB to COD. Now see, this angle will be equal to this angle. We have studied this in geometry. Why? They are what? Pair of vertically opposite angle. If you draw an X, this will be equal to this vertically opposite. Any X, just put an X. This will be equal to this vertically opposite. So this is an X, correct? This is an X. So this is equal to this vertically opposite. And you will also say this angle will be equal to this angle. Why? This angle will be equal to this angle because AB is parallel to CD. Okay, because AB is parallel to CD, and between the two parallel lines, if you form a Z, this is equal to this Y. Alternate angles, right? Okay, so what do I know from this? This is equal to this and this. So by AA test, what do I prove? The angle AOB and COD are similar. That is what we have learned it in geometry. So what will happen? Everything that is there with similarity will happen. Side opposite to this, let's start with this. So that will be equal to the ratio of AOB is being asked now. So let's take an AOB first. AOB upon COD. So AOB I'll take it first, and COD. So first let's start with AOB. The side opposite to this angle will be 2x upon x. The ratio of the sides will be equal. If two triangles are similar, we had learned the ratio of the sides will be equal. So side opposite to vertically opposite to x, side opposite to vertically opposite x. Side opposite to what else am I supposed to find out? Ratio of the area of this. Okay, that's it. Now it is solved. It is solved now. Just cut this and this. The answer comes out to be what? 2. Okay, which means what? The ratio of area, the ratio of their sides. Triangle AOB upon triangle COD, the ratio of their sides is nothing but 2 by 1 will be equal to 2 by 1. We know that, right? Now because you know one of the ratio and all the ratio will be equal, so it's just advisable to solve one. Now we also know when they become similar, property of similarity, area of triangle AOB upon area of triangle COD, okay, will be equal to what? Will be equal to whatever is the side, the whole square of that. Whatever is the side, the whole square of that. So that will be equal to 4 upon 1. 4 upon 1. That's it. 4 upon 1. The ratio of area of triangle AOB upon COD will be equal to 4:1. 4:1. That's how easy it is. You can just go ahead and solve this problem. So we didn't use the concept of trapezium here at all. We just use the concept of similarity of triangles, and that's how ideally you get the problem in exam. So advisable, again, go for geometry before you go for mensuration. Okay, let's move on to the next. So what is the next problem that I have it here? This is the next problem that has been given to me. The area of the trapezium is 441 centimeter square. So let us first draw a trapezium here. So I'll draw a trapezium now first at the start. Two parallel sides, I'll draw it here, and let's make this side which is touching this side, and this will be touching this. Okay, let's make a simple trapezium. Let's just make it here. This is how it will be. Okay, so this is how I complete with my trapezium, and the area of this is given to be as 441 centimeter square. So this area I know is 441. Okay, which means if I paint this completely with say yellow, this complete yellow area is nothing but 441 centimeter square. Ratio of the parallel side is 5:9. Okay, so which means 5:9 is a ratio, right? But I don't know what will be the exact value, so multiply this by x, 5x and 9x. The value could be 10, 18, it could be multiplied by 3, so 15 and then 27. So I don't know the value, so I'll say whatever it, you are multiplying it by one number. So this becomes 5x and this becomes 9x. Also the perpendicular distance between them is 21. Solved. The problem looks like so now. The perpendicular distance between the two is given to be as 21. Now apply the formula. Okay, what is the formula for area of a trapezium? That is nothing but half into sum of the parallel sides. Sum 9 plus 5 will be nothing but 14x. Sum of the parallel sides into height. Height is 21. That is the area of the trapezium, but that is given to me as 441. Okay, which is nothing but 21 square. 21 square is 441. So I'll write it here as this. This will be equal to this. Now just cut 21. 21 gets cancelled. 7 3s are 21. 7 2s are 14. Then 2 gets cancelled. What do I get now? X is equals to 3. X is equals to 3 is what I get it here. X is equals to 3. What is being asked? What is the longer side, longer parallel side? So 9 into 3, this will be 27, and 5 into 3, this will be 15. So longer parallel side is nothing but 27, and that will be my answer. Okay, so in this case it was simple application of the formula of area of triangle, or area of a trapezium, which is half into sum of the parallel sides into it. So unlike the previous problem where you had to apply the concept of similarity, this was just a plain problem where mensuration concept would have solved the problem for you. Okay, let's take the next problem here. Again with the trapezium. The cross section of a canal is the shape of a trapezium, and the area of the cross section is 360 centimeter square. If the canal is 12 meter wide and at the top, okay, 12 meter wide at the top and 8 meter wide at the bottom, the depth of the canal is. So see what is given here. This is say a canal. So I'll just first draw how does it look like. So this canal looks like a trapezium. Let's make a reverse of this. Yeah, something like this. This is how the canal looks like. Okay, but what is happening is this is a canal, so it is a 3D figure. It goes inside like this. Okay, it goes inside like this. This is how your canal will look like. Okay, so and what is given to me right now here, this is how it will. So I hope you are able to imagine how will it look like. Okay, this is my canal. This is how it is going on now. The cross section of the canal, which means this cross section here, is given to me, is of the shape of the trapezium, and the area of the cross section is 360 centimeters square. Okay, if the canal is 12 meter wide, which means at the top this is 12 meter wide and 8 meter at the bottom, and the area of the cross section, which means this, is given to me as 360 centimeter square, find the depth of the canal. Okay, which means I'll have to find the depth of the canal, which is cross section area is this. Okay, let me just see what first I can find it out as height, right? Okay, the depth of the canal is nothing but the height that is being related to this. So I'll say what, half into sum of the parallel sides, which is nothing but 12 plus 8, 20, into the height that I'm supposed to find it out, is equals to what, 360. Okay, because this is the formula for area of a trapezium, half into sum of the parallel sides into height. So I'll come to know what now, this gets cancelled, this gets cancelled, height is equals to what, 36, and that will be the depth of the canal as well, because that is to the extent to which it will be on this side, right? That is the extent, because it's a canal. See, it's a canal, which means what, see, don't imagine it in this way, this will be confusing if you go it in this way. This is how it will be. So just imagine it as this is a canal. You fill in water here, okay, and you fill in water from here. So if you ask me, this was the bottom of the canal, this was the top of the canal, what will be the area of this cross section? That will be this. So what will be the depth? That depth of this will be nothing but the height, right? Okay, and that's what is 36. Okay, that's how easy again it is to reach to the answer of this. So in this case, it was not a plain problem of trapezium, but they give it to you to visualize. Think how will the canal look like and what exactly are you supposed to find it out. So you have to use the formula only, but application in a real life problem of a trapezium area is something that you can find it with this problem. Okay, so again a simple problem only. So that's it with the 3 problems on trapezium. I hope you got a concept as to how can you get the various problem on trapezium. Okay, parallelogram, rhombus and trapezium. Let's see a problem on any quadrilateral. Okay, any quadrilateral means it is any quadrilateral. So let's draw. ABCD is a quadrilateral such that AC is 19. The lengths of the perpendicular from B and D on AC are 5 centimeter and 7 centimeter respectively. What is the area of ABCD quadrilateral is? Okay, so we know that is half into, I told you, product of what, first the diagonal into sum of the perpendicular drawn from the opposite side. Okay, if you're not able to visualize, let me just draw. So any quadrilateral means it could be any random quadrilateral that we are drawing it here. So let me just draw any random quadrilateral that is here and just join all this. Okay, this is the quadrilateral that we are drawing it here. Let's just connect this with this and we connect this with this. Okay, this is any quadrilateral. Now ABCD, so let's make it ABCD. So this will be A, B, C and then say D. AC is given to me as 19. As I told you, always one of the diagonal will be given to you. So AC is given to me as 19. So let's just draw this. AC is given to me as 19. So I am drawing it here. One of the diagonal is equals to 19. This is 19. This is 19 that is being given to me. And let's just put it here in the middle. It will be easier to understand. This will be 19. And lengths of the perpendicular B and D on AC. Lengths of the perpendicular B and D on AC, which means what is being talking about here? This is what we are being talking about here. The perpendicular which is drawn on this. Okay, that will be now say BD. And again I draw one more perpendicular which is from this on this. So this is how it will look like. Say this is the perpendicular. Did I draw it here? Something like this. Okay, this is another perpendicular that I draw it here. This is how it will go. So perpendicular from here and a perpendicular from this side as well, right? So what do we know about this? The area of any quadrilateral is nothing but half into one of the diagonal, which will be given to you, which is given to you as 19, into sum of the perpendicular drawn from the opposite vertices, okay, which means this length, the lengths of the perpendicular from B and D are 5 and 7 centimeter respectively. Okay, so this will be what? Sum of the perpendicular drawn from the opposite side, which is 5 plus 7, which is nothing but 7 plus 5, it will be 12. Okay, that is how you do it. And I told you the trick as well. Remember it like a rhombus, half into product of the diagonals, D1 into D2, where one of the diagonal will be given to you. Yes, it was given to me as 19, and other diagonal will be the sum of the perpendiculars which are being drawn here. Okay, so that is how you solve it. So 2 1s are 2 6 are 19 into 6. Okay, 19 into 6 will be what? 9 6 are 54, and 6 1s are 6, 7 9 10 11, 114. Okay, that will be the area of ABCD. So area of ABCD will turn out to be 114 centimeters square. 114 centimeters square. Okay, that's how simple it is. So in case any quadrilateral is given, just remember this trick and you will reach out to your answer quite easily. Okay, so that was one simple problem that we solve with respect to this quadrilateral. We take the next 2D figure, which is circle. Okay, we need to find out here two things which we are finding out for every 2D figure, that is a perimeter, which will be called as a circumference here, and next you will be finding the area of the circle. Okay, and I hope all of you know the formula for this too. So if I just draw a circle like this, and I say that this is a center of the circle, and similarly I draw a radius to this. So if I draw a radius to this, which is say like this, is the radius of the circle, and let's make it proper. Yeah, so this will be the radius of the circle, and we call it to be R. First I am asking you, what is this boundary? Okay, only the boundary. If say if this is a garden, what is the boundary of this garden? That is 2 pi R. Okay, and pi is always equals to what? Pi is equals to 22 by 7, or you can call it to be 3.14. So that is the always circumference of a circle, that is the boundary, that is the perimeter of a circle. Now if I am saying that I am painting this circle completely, by yellow, so what will be the area that is being occupied by this yellow region? Okay, what is the area that is being occupied by this yellow region? And that is equal to, we all know that is equal to pi R square, right, where R is again the radius. So if you know the radius, you can find the circumference, that is the perimeter. You can also find the area of the circle. Okay, that's how simple it is. Now with circle there are different things that you have to find out with area and with circumference only. Okay, so let's first go into area. Now I'm saying, okay, the entire area is pi R square, correct? If the radius is 10, then you will say 10 square is 100 pi. Okay, that is the entire area, right? If I say that the radius is 10, right? So you can find it out easily. But now I'm not asking you that. I'm saying you that I want the part of the area. I want say part of the area. So this is the total area. Give me only this part of it. I just want this much part of the area, and this is what you will call is at what? You will call this part of the area, which say I'll paint it now in red. This part you will call it to be as sector. This part you will call it to be as sector. Okay, and now I am asking you, what is the area of this red region? Okay, that is area of the sector. So what is area of the sector? You will say the total area is pi R square, correct? The total area is pi R square, and you want part of this pi R square. You want part of this pi R square, so not the full pi R square, but the part of it, and that is dependent upon what? This angle. That is dependent upon this angle. So if I am saying this angle is theta, so you will find out theta is what part of the total. What is the total angle of this? What is the total angle here? That is nothing but 360. So you will say theta is what part of 360? Give me that much part of area. Give me that much part of area, and that will be the area of this sector. So the area of the sector is given by the formula theta upon 360 into pi R square. So it is a part of the area that is dependent upon this. So now if I say that this theta is equals to 60 degrees, so what will happen? Theta is equals to 60 degrees. So I will write here as 60 upon 360 into pi r square, which means what? I need 60 upon 360 is 1/6 of the area. I need 1/6 of the area, or if you want to talk in terms of percentage, you will say you will need 16.66% of the total area, right? And that is what you can talk about this. So if I am saying now this is a pizza, imagine this is a pizza, and this part 60 upon 360, that is 1/6, is one slice that you can take from a pizza. So how many slices will be there in total in this pizza? How many slices will be there? This is 1/6 of the total, right? So there will be how many slices? Six slices where will be there in this pizza, and this is one of the slice, which is 1/6 of the total pizza. Okay, and that's how you can imagine how area of the sector will be related into this. Okay, so don't mug up the formula, it's quite a logic. Theta upon 360 into pi r square. How did this come into the picture? Next, from this, since this is quite clear to us now, let's move on to the next concept, which is called as a length of the arc. So after area of the sector, we move on to length of the arc. Now see this arc, which I am painting it as blue. So this blue thing is what I want you to know. How will you know this? So you will say, I know the entire part. This entire thing is nothing but 2 pi r. This entire thing is nothing but 2 pi r, and you are asking me something that is part of 2 pi r. So don't tell me the entire 2 pi r. Tell me this part of 2 pi r, which means part of a boundary, part of a circumference. Okay, so that is what you want to know. So again, that will be dependent upon what? This angle. So this total angle is theta. Theta is what part of 360? Give me that much part of circumference, that is 2 pi r. Okay, so this becomes what? Length of the arc. The total is circumference. Okay, and if I just take the part of it, it will become length of the arc. Okay, and that is given by this simple formula, theta upon 360 into 2 pi r. Now again, if I say this angle is theta, which is equal to 60 degrees, so you will write here as what? You will write this as 60 upon 360 into what? Into 2 pi r. Correct? This is how you will write it. Now if you calculate this is 1/6 of the circumference. 1/6. So the total circumference, total boundary is 2 pi r. Give me 1/6 of that, and that will be my length of the arc. Okay, so what did we study here? First the area, then part of the area of the sector, then circumference, that is 2 pi r, then part of the circumference, that is length of the arc. Okay, so we know 4 things here now: area of the sector, circumference, and length of the arc. These 4 things are quite clear to us right now. Okay, what after that you get in a circle? So what after that you get in a circle? Now let me just draw something like this. So I'm here and I'm drawing a line like this now, a line which connects like this. Okay, this is the line that I'm drawing it here. Let me put it properly here. So this is how it will look like. Now I'm asking you, what is the length of this segment? Okay, what is the length? So let me put it in a color. This green part is, I'm asking you, what is the area of this green segment? Okay, what is the area of this green segment? Which means first we found out the entire area, then we found out the area of a sector. Now inside a sector we are making a segment by drawing a chord. Okay, if you know geometry, we call this to be a chord of a circle. So I draw a chord and I make a segment here. And now the question is, what is the area of this green region? Okay, so that is quite simple. Now you will say, okay, I know the area of the sector. I can find out the area of the sector, correct? That is given by this formula, theta upon 360 into pi r square. I know that, how to find out area of the segment. Area of the sector, I know how to find it out. Okay, from that I'll subtract the area of this triangle. Correct? If I subtract this, so entire red part, if I take out this triangle out of that, what will be left is a green part. So you will say area of the sector minus area of the triangle will be equal to the area of the segment. Okay, now Now you will ask me a simple question, sir, how will I find out the area of this triangle? Okay, I know the area of the sector, but if given only this theta and this radius r, how will I find out the area of this sector? So let's see, there is a formula that you have studied in geometry, finding out the area of a triangle. I told you two formulas right now, which I hope you can remember: half into base into height and Heron's formula. But now the problem is, even the third side is not given to me. The third side, which is this, which I am doing again white, I'm doing a dark of white here. So which is this is not given to me. Okay, and also what is not given to me here is the third side as well as the height is also not given to me. So I don't have both. I don't have an height, I don't have a third side, so I cannot use the Heron's formula. I cannot use half into base into height. All that I know is a radius and this angle theta, but still I need to find out the area of this triangle. Okay, and there comes this formula which we have studied in geometry, and I hope you can recall it here right now. If not, then just make sure you go and see the geometry classes. I'll repeat it here. See, if this is a triangle and this angle is theta and this side is 10 and this side is 20, so the area of this triangle is given as half into product of two sides, which is 10 into 20, into the sine of angle between the two sides, so sine of theta. Okay, this is what we call as a sine theta formula to find out the area of a triangle, which is half into product of the two sides into sine of the angle between the two sides, so half into 10 into 20 into sine of theta. Okay, that is the formula that I'll apply it here. So area of the sector is something that I already know, that will be equal to what? Theta upon 360 into pi r square. So I'll write it here, theta upon 360 minus pi r square. I'll write it here as this. Okay, I'll take out the area of a triangle from this. So what is area of a triangle? That will be equal to half into product of the two sides, which means r into r, so that becomes r square, into sine of the angle between the two sides, which is nothing but theta. Correct, that will give me the area of the triangle. So from this, what will I do? I just know theta and I just know radius. Still I can find out what is the area of this segment, which is the green region. Okay, I only know two things, that is one theta and second is the radius r, and still I can go ahead to find out what is the area of this segment, and that's how simple it becomes. Okay, so make sure you know this much part as well. In case they ask you a segment, you should know this thing here. So what all do we know right now? We know circle, area of a circle, area of a sector, then circumference 2 pi r, length of the arc, part of the circumference, and area of the segment. Okay, these things are quite clear to us right now. Now let me just plot this in the diagram so that you understand it better. Okay, this is just for your better visualization. Everything that we have studied till now, we'll try and visualize it here. So this is a circle, and if I ask you simple, what is the area of this circle? That is equal to 113.1. okay, that is the area of this circle. Next I'll ask you, what is the circumference then? So what is the circumference then? If this is a circumference 37.7, that is equal to 2 pi r. Okay, that is equal to 2 pi r. And if I just draw a radius here, from here to here, that will be my radius. Okay, and I'll just see the next part of it. This is equal to 6 right now. The radius is equal to 6. Okay, so I know everything. I know the radius, I know the area of a circle, I know the circumference of the circle as well. Okay, now let's just play with this. What will I do right now? See, in the left hand side you can see everything that is given here. This is a sector that you can see. So I'll draw a sector here. Okay, I'll draw a sector like this, drawn. This is the sector. So you will ask me, how will I find out the area of this sector? Now let's find out the area of the sector. So this is what it will be: area of this sector 12.5. The total area, if you can see here, is 113, while the area of this sector is 12.5. Now if you want to check, see, if you increase this sector, obviously the area will increase, right? Because you're making the slice of the pizza become bigger and bigger, so obviously the area will keep on increasing. If you make this sector so big that it covers the circle, see, eventually it will become 113 only, because that is, see, it is becoming close, eventually it will become 113, 12.9 and 113. Okay, so you are covering the entire circle 13.1, which is exactly what the area of this circle is. And if I just keep on reducing, and this is what it will be, a sector. Okay, so this becomes your sector, area of the sector. Now you'll ask me next thing, what is the length of the arc here now? What is the length of this arc here now? So that is the arc length, that is 9.1. 9.1 is your arc length, which is this. So if I keep on reducing this will be reducing. See, length of the arc, which is this arc. This arc is dA. Okay, let me just delete this part. Okay, not this. Yeah, this is the arc, that is okay. Yes, so this is the arc, which is dA. Okay, you can see it. Now if I increase the length of this arc, see, it will keep on increasing. Till the time it becomes equal to the circumference, because that is nothing, length of the arc is nothing but part of the circumference. See, eventually it is becoming equal to 37.7, and that's how it will be. Eventually it will become equal to 37.7, because that is nothing but your circumference. But I am asking you only the part of it, so it will be lesser than this, and this is how it will be, the length of the arc. Okay, that will be dependent upon what? That will be dependent upon, again, this angle which is being given to you. So you understand 4 things from here now: area of the circle, then you know circumference of the circle, then you know length of the arc, and you also know what is the area of the sector. Okay, all the 4 figures are right here in front of you. Total area 113, the area of the sector 11.4, total circumference 37.7, length of the arc, that is part of the circumference, is 3.8, and you know how to visualize this. Eventually if you just increase the sector, it will turn on to a area of a circle, and you increase the length of the arc, it will turn out to be nothing but the circumference. Okay, so this should give you a better visualization as to how things happen. And if you are asking me segment kaise hoga, so how will the segment look like in this? So let me just make it something like this. So this is here and this is here. This will be the segment again, and that will be nothing but part of the area of the triangle. That will be your segment. Okay, and that's how easy it is to reach to the solution of this. So I am sure that this helped you to visualize the circle and the properties related to this. Okay, now last concept that we see for circle will be this. Now most of the concepts are clear here. 5 things that we wanted to know are quite clear to us. Now I'll draw 2 circles here. So instead of 1 circle, I'll draw 2 circles here now. So 1 circle, I'll draw it something like this. Yes, and I'll draw another circle here as well. Let me put it in different color. So I'll draw one more circle which will be like this. So I draw 2 circles here. Now these are the 2 circles. Let's put them here, and I'm asking you the area that is there in between them. Okay, which is, say, let me just paint it by some color, red color. This red area is something that I want to find it out. I want to find out this red area. So what will you say? This is quite simple. This radius is given to you as r. This is r, and this big radius is given to you as capital R. So this entire thing is given to you as capital R. This is capital R. Okay, and this is small r. So what will you say? This is nothing but area of the bigger circle minus area of the smaller circle. So red area minus this yellow area, that will give you the remaining red area, right? So you will say this is equal to what? Pi r square, which is area of the bigger circle minus area of the smaller circle, that is equal to pi r square. That minus this will give you this region that is there in the red. Again, that is what you're supposed to find out, area of this red region. So pi r square minus pi r square. If you take out this pi from here, what will be remaining is r square minus r square, and that is the area of this red region. Okay, so know this part of well. If there are concentric circle and I ask you the area of the shaded region, this is how you go ahead and find it out. Okay, so this is it with respect to the concepts of the circle. I hope you got the visualization of all the concepts. After this, we go on to finding and solving the different problem which will give us different scenarios with respect to circle. So after the concept, let's solve few problems on circle. Okay, so this is the first problem that we have, and what is being given here? The radius of a circular wheel is 1 3/4. Okay, so this is not written here, so this is 1 3/4, which means this is 1 3/4. Okay, this is the understanding of this, which means you can also say 1/4 is 25 into 3 is 1.75. Okay, this is what it is given here. how many revolutions will it make in traveling 11 kilometers? So how many revolution will it make in traveling 11 kilometers? So what will you say here? Say if this is my wheel, okay, and one revolution it covers a distance of 2 meter. Okay, one revolution it covers a distance of 2 meter. What is one revolution? It is traveling from, say, this point, this is a marked up point, and then it is traveling here. So this marked up point comes to, say, this place, because it traveled a little bit. Then it is again traveling here, so it is going round. So this point again comes here. Okay, now it is again traveling, so it is traveling, and then this point comes here, and then it is again traveling. So this point again comes back to the original position, which is this. This is what you call for a one revolution. So can you tell me what is the distance that is being traveled by this wheel in one revolution? That is nothing but from here to here. See, from here to here, then to here, then to here, then again back to here. So what is this entire distance? That this is the distance I can say that is being traveled. This is the entire distance that is being traveled by this yellow mark. Okay, this comes here, then it comes here, and then it comes here. So this is the entire distance that is being traveled. And what is this distance? 2 pi r. So circumference is the distance that is being traveled by this wheel in one revolution. Okay, and if I say that distance that is being traveled in one revolution is 2 meter, and it travels to 10 meter, it goes 10 meters. So how many revolution will it take? You will say 5. Okay, that is how simple it is. So that distance now here is given to be as 11 kilometers. If I convert this to meter, this will be 11,000 meter. Okay, 11,000 meter. That is the distance that will be traveled by this wheel. And in one revolution, how much of distance will it travel? It will travel a distance which is equal to its circumference. Okay, and what will be circumference? That will be equal to 2 pi r. So that is equals to 2 into pi, which is 22 by 7, into r, that is the radius, which is 4 1s are 4, 7 by 4. I can also write this to be a 7 by 4. It will be easier to calculate. So 7 by 4. Now what happens is this gets cancelled. 2 1s are 2 2s are. This is 2 1s are 2 11s are, which means what? I get the distance is 11 meter. It travels 11 meter in one revolution, and it travels a total of 11,000 meters. Okay, so how many revolutions will it take? So you will just cut this now. This is 1s are 1,000, right? So it will travel 1,000 revolution in this, and this is the logic which I had already explained. Because in one revolution it travels a distance which is equal to its circumference. Okay, so if total distance is this, one revolution is this, how many revolutions will it take? And that will give you the answer for this. Okay, so quite a simple problem, but on the application. So they will not ask you straight away, tell me the area of the sector, or the length of the arc, or the area of a circle. They will ask you something given as an application, and you will have to apply and reach to your answer. Okay, so that is about this problem. Let's see if we have few more problems on this. Now this is the next problem that is being given here. It takes 14.5 ml to paint the surface of a circular sheet of radius 17 centimeter. Okay, so what am I doing here right now? I am painting a circular sheet. So let's first draw a circle. It takes 14.5 ml of paint to paint the surface of a circular sheet of radius 17. So this is circular sheet, and say the radius here is equal to 17. Okay, the radius of this is 17. We know that now. The radius is 17. And how much of paint is being taken to paint this thing? So 14.5 ml. So I need to paint this thing, so I painted it with yellow, and 14.5 ml of paint is required to paint this thing. Now the question here is, how much paint is required to paint a similar circular sheet with double the radius? Okay, what do you mean by double the radius? Now I have a circular sheet which radius is equals to 34. So what will I do it here? I'll draw a circle which has a radius of equal to 34. So let me draw a bigger circle here, something like this. Okay, now this yellow circle is having a radius equal to 34 because the radius is now twice of this. You will have to just see what is happening to the area. What was this area? This was equal to pi into 17 square, pi r square, right? And what will be this area? Pi into 34 square. Okay, now don't go ahead and calculate this. See, the ratio of radius was what? 1:2, right? 17 is to 34, so it is 1:2. What is the ratio of the area? Check this now. This is pi into 17 square, and this is nothing but pi into 34 square. That is the ratio of the area. Pi gets cancelled. This is 17 into 17 is to 34 into 34. Okay, so this is 1s are 2s are, this is again 1s are 2s are. So the ratio of area is 1:4. Okay, so if you make radius as twice, area becomes 4 times. Right? This is what you understand. Area becomes 4 times, which means if you require 14.5 ml to paint this area which say I'm painting it in red right now. This area is 4 times. This area is 4 times the area of this. So it will require 4 times as much of the paint that is being required here, right? So here you require 14.5, here you will require 14.5 into 4, because since the area is 4 times, you will require 4 times as much paint as you required earlier. Okay, 4 times of this. So that is what will give you the answer. So let's just solve this now. 40 plus 16, 56 plus 258. Correct? 14 4s are, it's 56 plus 0.58 is your answer. So you will require 58 ml of paint to paint this red area. Okay, so very simple problem. You just know that the radius becomes twice, so area becomes 4 times. If you require this much of paint to paint one part of the area, so 4 times the area, you will require 4 times as much as paint that you required in the earlier part. So just multiply 14.5 into 4. Okay, that should give you the answer to this problem. So again a problem which is on application of area. Okay, they didn't ask you the simple way what is the area, they ask you a question which was application, and then they use the concept of paint here. Take this problem on circle. So what is given here? A circular road runs round a circular garden. If the difference between the circumference of the outer circle and the inner circle is 44, then find the width of the road. Okay, so what do we know now? A circular road runs around a circular garden. So draw a circular garden here, and there is a circular road which runs along this. So let's just draw it by yellow. This will be my circular road that runs along a circular garden. So this is what I am drawing it here. Okay, this is what I get from this. If the difference between the circumference of the outer circle and the inner circle is this, so I'll say the radius of the outer, let this radius be equal to capital R. Okay, and let the radius of this inner smaller circle be equal to small r. So capital R and small r is what I have it here. Difference between the circumference, so of the outer and the inner, so I'll say 2 pi r outer, okay, minus 2 pi r, okay, which is the inner. Difference between the circumference of the outer and the inner is given to me as 44. So that's what I'll write it here. Now what will you do from this? Take out 2 pi common from this. So 2 into pi, I'll write it as 22 by 7 into r minus r is equals to 44. That's what I get it from here, right? I take out 2 pi as a common, and this is what I get it from here. Now what gets cancelled? This gets cancelled, which is 44 gets cancelled, and this 44 gets cancelled here. Okay, so what will I get after this? If I just cancel this 44 and 44, this and this is cancelled, so I get r minus r is equals to 7, which means the difference between their radius is nothing but 7. But that is nothing but the answer, width of the road. Yes, that will be the width of the road, right? They didn't ask you the area, they ask you the width. So this complete thing is capital R, and this small thing is small r. So if you subtract this, subtract this, you will get this, and this part is nothing but the width of the road, right? If you subtract the 2, you will get this part, and this part is nothing but the width of the road, and that is nothing but 7. So I know the answer to this. The width of the road here will be equal to 7. Okay, so just simple application of circumference will give you the answer in this case. They didn't ask you the area, right? They ask you just the width, how much thick it is. So you know it is 7 meter thick. Okay, next. A circular wire of radius 4.2 meter is cut and bent to form a rectangle. Okay, so there is a wire of so let's just start with this. So I have a circle and there's a circular wire. Okay, so you can imagine this to be one wire. Okay, if I just cut and stretch this is how it will look like. It will look like a straight line here. If I just cut and stretch this is how it will look like, a straight line. So, and if I just make it in the form of a circle, that is how it will look like. Okay, so it's just a wire that is being made to form a circle. Now it is further bent to form a rectangle. So I take out this wire from here. I just cut this from here. I make this again this wire, and from this circular wire I make a rectangle. So from this wire I go ahead to make a rectangle. So let's make a rectangle out of it. So I make a rectangle out of it. Okay, and this is the rectangle that is being made out of this. What is given right now and what is being asked? Okay, so what do you understand from this? The circumference of this 2 pi r will be equal to what? That will be equal to perimeter, or perimeter of this will be equal to the perimeter of this. So perimeter of this is 2 pi r, that will be equal to perimeter of this, which is nothing but, we know the perimeter of the rectangle, which is equal to 2l plus 2b. So this will be equal to 2l plus 2b. Correct? So this is what you get it from here, 2 pi r. So if I take 2 pi r, take out this 2 as a common from here, what you left with is l plus b. Cut this now, 2 gets cancelled. What you left is pi r is equals to l plus b. Okay, that is what you get it from here. Now what is given to me now? The radius is equals to 4.2. So the radius of this circle is equal to 4.2. That was given to me, which means this I know the r radius is equals to 4.2. The longer side of the rectangle is 20% more than the shorter side. So shorter side is breadth. The longer side is 20% more than this, which means breadth plus 20% of that. Okay, so that will be nothing but, so breadth plus 20% of that is nothing but 1/5, which is nothing but 6 by 5. 6 by 5, or you can also say 6 by 5 is what? 1.2. So L is equals to 1.2 of B, which means whatever is a breadth, take 20% of that, add both of them, and eventually you will get my length. So this is the relationship that I know about it. Okay, from this I know now how to reach to the answer. It will be very simple for me to reach to the answer right now, because everything is known to me right now. So I will write, okay, pi is nothing but what? 22 by 7. So I'll start from this, I'll apply it here. So 22 by 7 into the radius, which is nothing but 4.2, is equals to L. L is what? 1.2 of B plus you have B plus you have breadth. Okay, I can get the breadth from here. If I get a breadth, I'll also know what is the length then. Okay, so I'll say what now? 7 1s are 7 6 are, but this will be 0.6. Now what will you say? Multiply this. So 22 into 6 will be what? 22 2 6 are 12, 2 6 are 30, 132, 13.2. 13.2 is equals to what now? 1.2 plus 1, that will be equal to 2.2b. Okay, so breadth comes out to be what? 13.2 divided by 2.2. Okay, that is what my breadth is. So just divide this now. 13.2 you divided by 2.2, and the answer comes out to be 6. Okay, this is just 6 times this will give you this. So breadth is nothing but 6. Okay, so I know B is equals to 6 now. So what is length? Length is equals to 20% more than this. So this is 1.2 of B. B, which is nothing but 1.2 of 6, because they asked me what is the longer side of the rectangle. So that will be equal to 1.2 into this. Okay, so L becomes equal to what? 12 6 is 7.2, and that is my answer. So the length which is nothing but the longer side of the rectangle is nothing but equal to 7.2, and this is how simple it is to reach to the answer to this problem. Okay, so know what is given to you. From that, what can you get, and eventually you will reach to your answer. The only thing you need to know here is the circumference of the circle will be equal to the perimeter of the rectangle. This was because you are making it from the same wire, so that boundaries of both of them will be same. Okay, and if you compare this, whatever is given, substitute, and eventually you reach to your answer.